Réunion de midi en ligne et en direct sur EBS. Nous sommes le vendredi 15 octobre. Permettez-moi de commencer mes annonces, comme chaque vendredi, avec l'agenda de la présidente von der Leyen pour la semaine prochaine. Mardi matin, la présidente sera à Strasbourg pour participer dans le débat du Parlement européen suite à l'arrêt de la Cour constitutionnelle polonaise la semaine dernière. Le même jour à 13h, elle présidera la réunion du Collège des commissaires. Mercredi, de retour à Bruxelles, la présidente participera au sommet social tripartite avec les partenaires sociaux par visioconférence. Et bien évidemment, jeudi et vendredi, elle participera au Conseil européen. J'invite maintenant Balázs à prendre la parole pour une annonce sur notre soutien à la Roumanie dans le contexte sanitaire actuel.
Good afternoon. Following a request for assistance from Romania, the European Commission is mobilizing assistance to treat the high number of COVID-19 patients in the country. Via the EU Civil Protection Mechanism, the EU has delivered so far 200 oxygen concentrators from the Rescue Strategic Medical Stockpile hosted by the Netherlands, 50 oxygen concentrators from Poland, 5,200 vials of monoclonal antibodies from Italy, and 15 ventilators, as well as 8 oxygen concentrators from Denmark, all this via the EU Civil Protection Mechanism. Now, our Emergency Response Coordination Center will continue to work around the clock to mobilize any further assistance needed.
Merci beaucoup, Balázs. Concernant les réunions du Conseil d'aujourd'hui, veuillez noter qu'une réunion des ministres de l'Emploi et des Affaires sociales est en cours à Luxembourg et le commissaire Nicolas Schmit y participe en représentation de la Commission. Les discussions portent notamment sur l'avenir du semestre européen, avec un rôle important pour le socle européen des droits sociaux, ainsi que sur l'importance de la sécurité et la santé dans l'avenir du travail. Le commissaire Schmit participera à la conférence de presse suite à cette réunion, conférence de presse prévue aux alentours de 17h. Merci de lui réserver vos questions sur ces sujets. Before finishing, let me draw your attention to the information that we sent out this morning with the agenda of the day. Starting on Monday, the new Welcome Center of the Berlaymont will be operational. This will be your new entrance on the side of Boulevard Charlemagne to enter the building. As usual, you are advised to arrive some 15 minutes ahead of press events to allow enough time to go through the security checks. A fast lane for journalists will be dedicated to them every day between 11 and 12:30. Voilà qui clôture nos annonces et nous pouvons passer à vos questions. Erin.
Good morning, Eric. Thank you very much. I would like to ask for the Commission's comment on the attack by the Slovenian Prime Minister against MEPs. Thank you.
Christian.
Thank you, Erin, for the question. Good afternoon. As you know, we do not comment on comments, but let me make a few points clear. Social media should be a space for constructive and respectful debate. It should not be a place for personal attacks against individuals, be it private or public figures, as was the case with the tweet you mentioned. Finally, let me also say that the Commission's position on anti-Semitism is very clear. Anti-Semitism has no place in the European Union. As we have laid out in our recent anti-Semitism strategy, it represents a threat not only to the Jewish communities, but to an open and diverse society.
Bruno, is it on this?
Seeing as you mentioned anti-Semitism, the original tweet that started all this off portrayed a picture of George Soros in the middle of a sinister web, with strands going to the various MEPs and others. Do you consider, or does the Commission consider, such an image, which was then deleted, to actually be anti-Semitic?
Look, Bruno, we have said very clearly that we are not going to get involved into describing or commenting on individual tweets, but our position on anti-Semitism is very clear, and this is what I think it is important for us to repeat here today. Right, let us move on. Sorry, Giovanni, apologies, I hadn't seen you. On this. Hold on. Are there other questions on this? Mose.
I had another question, but I think it's very much linked, this question about this tweet by the Slovenian Prime Minister, to previous, let's say, posters and links or tweets, let's say, by the Hungarian Prime Minister Orban. And I think they were heavily criticized then by the Commission because they also portrayed, the former Commission President in a very negative way, not only Soros. So I think it's absolutely clear that these things have been denounced by the Commission in the past and will probably be it now also. Thanks.
Thank you for your endorsement of our statements, our clear statements on this issue. Right, let us move on to other issues. Giovanni.
I have two questions concerning Poland. And the first one, if you have any comments on the resolution approved yesterday by the Dutch Parliament, and of course also confirmed by the Prime Minister Rutte, on the fact that the Netherlands is going to ask the Commission not to approve the resilience plan of Poland. And the second one is, I think is more for you, Eric, if the President is going to go to the Council, the European Council, with already a decision on what to do, or if it is rather to expect that she will first wait for the debate in the Council and then take a decision afterwards. Thank you.
On your second question, Giovanni, look, I had this question yesterday, exactly the same question. So let me make clear again that the timing of our analysis depends entirely on the time we need to carry out the analysis based on the details of the ruling itself. Therefore, it is not linked to external events. On your first question, well, it's not really for us to comment on a resolution voted by the Senate, of course, by the Dutch Parliament. Let me put it that way. Of course, we take note of this in the run-up to the European Council, but it is not something on which we should comment at the moment. As you know, there was a discussion in college this week, a preliminary discussion based on the preliminary assessment of the ruling, and during this meeting, the President laid out examples of a range of options that would be at the disposal of the Commission if the final analysis confirms the concerns that we have based on the preliminary analysis on the ruling. Are there other questions on this specific issue? Please only keep your hand raised if it is on this. Mose, once again.
Question I intended to ask, very much linked to the previous question, because here we have, if I'm not wrong, let's say a decision by the Parliament, by its Legal Affairs Committee yesterday, I think, about suing the Commission for its delay in, let's say, activating or applying the rule of law mechanism. And I think it seems a very rare move, I must say, So what is your comment to that, and why it takes so long time? Because if not wrong, we have asked this question several times in the summer and always heard that it was a matter of finalizing the guidelines on the mechanism. So my question is also, have they been finalized yet? Thank you.
Balázs.
Afternoon. So let me start by recalling a key sentence that the President said during her State of the Union speech. I quote, "When it comes to protecting our budget, we will pursue every case with everything in our power." We continue to stand by this statement. Now, with regard to the rule of law regulation, I would like to recall that the Commission replied to the letter of the President of the Parliament on the 23rd of August. In this letter, we made it very clear that we are, of course, in full agreement with the Parliament that the regulation must be applied in full. And in fact, the Commission has been duly complying with the requirements set by the regulation, and we will continue fulfilling our legal obligations. Now, as you know, and as we've repeated many times, the regulation came into force on the 1st of January, and since then the Commission has been working very hard to assess potential cases and build up cases under this regulation. We said in the recent past that due to the work that has been carried out, we will be in a position in the near future to send the first notification under this mechanism. Now, you also mentioned the guidelines. It's true that we've been working on a set of guidelines as well to drive the, or to bring additional clarity as to how the regulation should be applied in practice. We had a consultation process lasting about 2.5 months. Over the summer, we consulted the Parliament, we consulted the Member States, and we gathered lots of feedback and comments. Now, we are still in the process of taking into account this feedback, and the guidelines will be reflecting all this and will be made available in due time.
Thank you very much. I see no further questions on this issue, so I open the floor to other questions. Mindaugas.
Hello, I'm Mindaugas Laukagalis from Lithuania National Radio and Television, and I would like to ask once again about the Commission's meeting with Lithuanian, Latvian and Polish ambassadors to the EU about Belarus border. So do you have any more details on when this meeting could happen? And also the Commission said that this meeting was postponed due to ambassadors' availability issues. So could you just confirm it? Whether the reason of postponement was from the ambassador side, or was it cancelled from the Commission side? Thank you.
Thank you. Adalbert.
Thank you very much, Mindaugas. I can confirm that the meeting didn't work out. Our offered timing did not work out for availability reasons, and so we are carrying on our efforts to reschedule this meeting, and of course also continue our contacts with the member states in a variety of fora to discuss the situation. I think what is clear is that beyond this individual specific meeting, our focus is to work with the member states in order to support them in finding solutions. We are facing a very challenging situation at the EU's external border, which has been provoked by actions by the Lukashenko regime, but there is also a dire humanitarian situation at the border. So we will carry on our efforts to discuss this with the member states at all levels and in a variety of fora.
Thank you very much. Are there other questions on the situation at the Belarus border for us today? Mose, you will get an allocated number of questions, I think. Joke apart. Go ahead.
This is my last question. This is my last question for today, but I can't help taking the opportunity to ask Oliver about this also, because besides this meeting he replied to, I understand also that the intention is that Commissioner Ylva Johansson, from my own home country, Sweden, by the way, is supposed to visit the border region between Poland and Belarus. That has been, let's say, on the agenda for quite some time by now. I understand that Poland has closed the border region. Even journalists are not allowed to enter it. And that is hardly acceptable. But less acceptable, I think, is that Poland doesn't allow a European commissioner to visit the border to find out what's happening on the ground by herself. What is your comment to that?
Thank you, Mose. There is no visit scheduled, planned, or discussed of the Commissioner at the border. There is a discussion ongoing about a technical level visit by Commission officials at the border, and it's something about which I replied to questions about yesterday. And for now, I have nothing new to share on these issues.
Thank you very much. Are there other questions for us today? Please raise your hand in the chat if that is the case. Noureddine.
Bonjour Eric, c'est pour Adalbert si tu veux bien.
Je t'en prie.
Sur la même question au niveau des frontières de Pologne avec la Biélorussie, mais également dans les zones pleines de forêts vierges au nord-est de la Pologne, dans les régions frontalières, d'après des membres du Parlement européen, dont une députée d'origine polonaise, même la Croix-Rouge ne peut pas accéder à ces zones frontalières, les journalistes non plus. Le Parlement polonais a voté hier une loi qui permet aux autorités, donc aux gardes frontières, de repousser les migrants sans aucun contrôle ou bien feu vert juridique. Ça veut dire que c'est des zones frontalières déclarées zones militaires. Personne n'y va, ni les médias, même pas les députés européens, même pas la Croix-Rouge, aucune organisation humanitaire. Il y a des gens qui, semble-t-il, d'après des témoignages proches de la région, qui meurent dans cette zone qui est forestière, très dense. Il y a le froid, il y a la boue, etc.
Excuse-moi, Noureddine. Tu pourrais poser ta question. S'il te plaît.
Ah oui, je vais poser ma question.
Merci.
Est-ce que vous pouvez, jusqu'à quand vous allez continuer à regarder cette situation ainsi?
Non mais Noureddine, excuse-moi, mais on vient de répondre à cette question. J'ai répondu à cette question de manière très claire il y a déjà 2 semaines. Et donc, la manière dont tu poses ta question, en soi, semble indiquer qu'on ne nous sommes absolument pas exprimés sur le sujet. Je m'inscris en faux contre cette affirmation, de manière claire. Adalbert vient de repréciser de nouveau quelle est notre position sur la question, qui est que nous comprenons que la pression qui est exercée par l'instrumentalisation menée par le régime du président Loukachenko sur la frontière nécessite bien entendu une action de la part des pays limitrophes de l'Union européenne, mais que d'un autre côté, il est clair que cela ne doit pas mener à ce que des personnes perdent leur vie dans la zone frontalière. Nous l'avons dit, nous sommes en contact avec les États membres justement pour essayer de voir comment résoudre cette question. Nous partageons les préoccupations et nous sommes en train d'essayer d'agir afin de résoudre la situation. Merci. Lukáš, is it on this?
No, it's not on this, on different topic.
Okay, hold for a while. Let's see if there are other questions. Giovanni.
C'est la joie d'être vraiment physiquement dans la salle de je rigole. Non, sur la question de Noureddine, je pense que vous n'avez pas complètement répondu, parce que d'un côté, c'est de dire nous avons des préoccupations sur ce qui arrive. Mais la question, je pense, pour moi, c'est est-ce que pour la Commission européenne, Est-il pour la Commission européenne acceptable qu'un État membre ne permet aucun contrôle ou aucune visite de la frontière de la part de parlementaires européens, de la part des ONG, aucun observateur extérieur? Est-ce que ça est-il acceptable pour vous? Merci.
Ce que nous avons dit clairement, c'est qu'il revient aux autorités polonaises et des autres pays de la région qui partagent une frontière avec la Bélarus de prendre les mesures nécessaires afin que nous ne retrouvions pas dans cette situation où des personnes sont laissées sans aide, tout en comprenant la pression qui est exercée sur la frontière pour des raisons politiques en instrumentalisant les migrants. Donc voilà quelle est notre position sur ce sujet. George, is it on this? George, we can see you.
Oh,
Is
yes,
it
I
on?
didn't realize that it actually worked. The question is about it's for Adalbert, but it's about Commissioner Johansson's visit to Turkey. Are we on time for that?
Yes, I think we can now move to that. Go ahead.
Okay, so the question is really if there's any readout on the meetings that the Commissioner Johansson had in Turkey regarding the agreement on migration, and if there was any more specific discussion on how to handle the arrivals in Cyprus specifically, since that's an issue that Turkey is entangled in, let's say.
Thank you. Adalbert.
Thank you, George. The Commissioner shared some general elements about the meetings that she had in Turkey on her Twitter account. So for a very general comment, I would ask you to refer to these tweets. When it comes to a more detailed readout, it's something I'm still waiting for, so I will be happy to share it once we have received it.
Thank you. Lukáš.
Yes, hi, hello. I have a question concerning the visit of the President von der Leyen in the European Parliament next week. Could you give us more information about the choreography of the debate? I would like to know whether she will speak before Prime Minister Morawiecki or after Prime Minister Morawiecki. I would like to know whether she will have any closing remarks after the debate, whether she will answer any questions of members of parliament, whether she will have any press conference, and in general, let's say, what will be her message to the European Parliament and the Polish Prime Minister? Thank you.
Well, on the very last question, Lukáš, I invite you to listen to the speech that the President will give on Tuesday. Obviously, in terms of the exact details of her participation, first of all, the debate is organized by the European Parliament, so obviously the way the debate is organized is something that you should ask the European Parliament. I cannot at this stage do anything else but confirm that you will take part in the debate. Right. I only see one hand raised now, so I close this chapter and move to Desislava with a question, I believe, on the Bulgarian Recovery and Resilience Plan. Desislava. You need to change your mic source. You need to change your mic source again to a different one, I understand. Okay, it does not seem to be working, so we will read out your question, but it's something that we try to avoid so that on the recorded excerpts, which you can find on EBS, you are the ones asking the question. So, Verle, Desislava is asking, quote, Has Bulgaria submitted its recovery and resilience plan, and would you remind us what the next steps are? Unquote.
Thank you, Didislava, for your question. We have not received the final recovery and resilience plan of Bulgaria just yet. Once we have, we will, as usual, issue a press release. And also to remind you of the next step, so once Bulgaria has submitted its final recovery and resilience plan, the Commission will assess the plan against the 11 criteria set out in the Recovery and Resilience Facility. And this includes checking whether the plans contribute to effectively addressing all or a significant subset of the relevant country-specific recommendations. The Commission will also assess whether the plan dedicates at least 30% of its expenditure to climate and whether the investments and reforms support at least 20% to the digital transition. And then once the assessment has been finalized by the Commission, the Council will then have, as a rule, 4 weeks to adopt the Commission proposal for a Council implementing decision.
Thank you very much. Are there other questions for Verle today on national recovery and resilience plans? Please only keep your hand raised if your question is on this issue. Naomi, you have a question on this.
Sorry, it's actually on something else.
Okay, we'll come back to you later, Naomi. Mathieu.
Oui, bonjour. Combien de plans déjà soumis restent à approuver par la Commission? Est-ce que vous avez une mise à jour concernant les plans hongrois et polonais? J'imagine que ça sera très succinct. Et est-ce que vous avez déjà reçu des demandes pour un deuxième versement pour des plans qui ont reçu le préfinancement? Est-ce qu'il y a déjà eu des demandes supplémentaires? Merci.
Mathieu, je pense que tu connais la réponse à ta première question puisqu'elle était incluse dans ta deuxième question, mais on va se faire un plaisir malgré tout de répondre. Et sur la troisième, je passe la parole aussi à Verle.
Oui, merci Mathieu pour tes questions. Donc je peux confirmer qu'à ce jour, la Commission a adopté des évaluations positives des plans de relance et de résilience de 22 États membres. Et le Conseil a approuvé l'évaluation par la Commission des plans de 19 États membres jusqu'à ce jour. Cela ouvre bien évidemment la voie au versement de préfinancement. Et donc là aussi, je prends l'opportunité de vous communiquer que jusqu'à présent, nous avons décaissé des préfinancements en faveur de 17 États membres. Et puis par rapport à ta question sur est-ce qu'il y a un update sur les plans hongrois polonais, donc là je répète ce que Eric vient de dire, donc pas d'update à ce jour. Nous continuons à avoir des échanges avec les autorités de ces deux pays. Et puis par rapport à ta troisième question sur est-ce qu'il y a déjà eu des demandes de déboursement, donc ça c'est différent des préfinancements. Donc là, pas de commentaires à donner à ce jour.
Merci. Raf, a question on this?
It is a question on recovery fund and on COVID recovery. Europol has announced today that it is working on an operation to make sure that there is no fraud involved. And my question is, only 19 EU nations have committed to it. And I just wanted to know if you know why that is and to what extent that would be a problem. Thank you.
This is for you.
What I can say is that in the context of the Recovery and Resilience Facility, obviously, it's very important that the member states put in place measures to protect the financial interests of the Union. And this is one of the 11 criteria which are set out in the Recovery and Resilience Facility regulation. So the national control systems that member states will have to put in place will need to ensure and need to provide sufficient assurances against to make sure that the prevention, detection, and correction of conflict of interest, corruption, and fraud, and also to avoid double funding, is specifically in place.
Thank you. I see no further questions on this, so I go back to Naomi, who had a question on a different issue. Thank you, Ellie. Naomi, you have the floor. You have the floor.
Thanks very much, Eric. Naomi Illyry, Irish Times. Just wanted to ask if you could tell us anything about scheduling today with the meeting of Mamer Šefčovič and David Frost. Do you expect there to be any press opportunity or statement or anything like that? If you could give us an idea, that would be great.
Dan.
Hi, Naomi. Yes, I can confirm that Vice President Šefčovič is meeting with David Frost as we speak. They're meeting here in the Commission a few floors above us, and as usual, I'll be happy to give you with a readout afterwards.
Thank you very much. I see only one hand raised. Well, hold on. Tommaso.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for the floor. It's on Brexit. It's because I've read on the Financial Times that 5 member states, including Italy, asked the Commission to prepare a contingency plan in case the UK doesn't respect or abolishes the protocol on Northern Ireland. Is it true? Is it false? Are you preparing a contingency plan on this? I would have also another question, but it's on another issue, so I'll wait. Thank you.
Dan.
Thanks, Tommaso. I think it's fair to say that this has been a big Brexit week. You've heard a lot from us over the past couple of days. You've had the Vice President in this press room itself. He has answered questions similar to your question. What we are concentrating now on is finding solutions for the people in Northern Ireland. We put a lot of hard work into the package that we came forward with on Wednesday. Our package explores every possible angle of the protocol. And the next step now for us is to concentrate in the discussions that are taking place at exactly this moment in time with the UK government today and over the coming days and weeks.
Voilà. Are there other questions on Brexit-related matters? That is not the case, so please.
Yeah, I have a question for Peter, a very easy one because it's Friday. Peter, what is the next round of the dialogue between Pristina and Belgrade, when it's going to have place, and what topics are going to be discussed? Thank you.
Thank you. The answer could be pre-recorded because we keep getting this question regularly. But we announce always, as a matter of principle and rule, we always announce these meetings which are taking place in the framework of the EU facilitated dialogue when and if appropriate. Currently, you know that all the efforts are focused on having these meetings restarted again in Brussels at the level of first chief negotiators and then eventually at the higher level of between the President and Prime Minister. So the work is ongoing, but we will announce the date and agenda when appropriate.
Thank you. Augustine, I suppose your question is related to this.
Yes, thank you. It is related to situation in Kosovo, and we saw that the High Representative have spoken with American Secretary of State Blinken also about the dialogue and about the situation in the region. We saw also that he has spoken to Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić. Just wanted to know, because there were different reactions from American side compared to the statement of High Representative on the events in the north of Kosovo, and if Peter can have anything to add about the conversation in Washington. And another question, I missed the beginning, so I don't know, did you announce that there will be a enlargement package and progress reports next week or not? Thank you.
So, Augustine, as is customary, we announce the agenda of the college only after the heads of cabinet have fixed the agenda, which takes place on a Strasbourg week, during a Strasbourg week on Monday morning. So we will see if at Monday lunchtime, when we have the midday briefing, we will already be in a position to announce the agenda. If not, we will announce it a bit later, or on Tuesday lunch. So that's all I can say for the moment. On your other questions, I pass the floor to Peter.
Thank you. I can confirm that High Representative Borrell, in his talks with Secretary of State Blinken, raised the issue of Western Balkans in general, but also about what is going on in Kosovo currently. You know that the European Union and United States are working very closely on the Western Balkans. We have same aims, same objectives there, which we want to achieve jointly. And this trip, this visit by High Representative, this visit by High Representative in the United States only underlined the determination by both sides to work closely, because we really share the objectives there. Now, High Representative, during his stay in the United States, managed also to talk to President Vučić and to Prime Minister Kurti about the situation, and he reiterated the need to come down to Brussels to discuss in the framework of the dialogue, to advance the dialogue, to achieve progress in the dialogue, in order to avoid seeing situations like we have seen recently in north of Kosovo and between Kosovo and Serbia. And when it comes to specifically what was discussed between High Representative and Secretary Blinken, I can only recall what was put in the press release which we issued last night, that they both underline the importance of EU-facilitated dialogue, which the United States are strongly supporting. The importance of this dialogue in addressing the issues related to the comprehensive normalization of relations between Serbia and Kosovo, and they referred also to the recent developments and highlighted the need for de-escalation and re-engagement in negotiations. And I'm not aware, reading also the readout by the US side, I'm not aware about any different reactions or different attitudes you were mentioning. This was very clearly stated by both partners in the talks, that the situation in the region and specifically related to Kosovo really needs de-escalation and re-engagement in negotiations in the framework of the EU-facilitated dialogue.
Thank you. Are there other foreign relations related questions for Peter today? Not the case, so I go back to Tommaso, who had a question on a different issue. Thank you, Peter. Tommaso.
Yes, thank you. It's on competition because Fabio Lazzarini, who is the CEO of ITA, the company which took the place of Alitalia, said today that they had to fight the DG competition a sportellate, which I would translate with door blows or something like that. I wonder if the Commission sees the dialogue they had with the Italian authorities in the same way. Thank you.
Look, Tommaso, we never comment on these sorts of comments, as you know full well, so we're not going to get into a debate with anybody. Are there other questions on competition matters? Knowing that Ariana is not here today, Dan will do his best to replace her if there are questions. If not, we will answer bilaterally afterwards. Regina. Regina, you need a mic source. And an appropriate one at that.
It's okay?
Yes, go ahead.
It's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning. Belgium announced new restrictions for travelers. For example, going from Spain and other countries to Brussels, they are now asking for tests also, even if you are vaccinated. Are starting now the restrictions for travelers in general? Is the vaccine a guarantee? Is not a guarantee? Is reclosing Europe again? Thanks.
Thank you. A question for Christian.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Well, I would not comment in detail on individual decisions by member states. I mean, you know that we have a recommendation in place that we, of course, continue to believe that member states should use as a compass when it comes to traveling in the European Union. We have, of course, the EU Digital COVID Certificate regulation, which foresees that in principles, member states should not impose any additional restrictions of holders of the certificate. There are, of course, exemptions also foreseen for member states to be able to react to the epidemiological situation, in particular in relation to areas of high risk, in relation to variants of concern. So there is some flexibility for member states. They, of course, should inform us about such measures. And yeah, I think this is where we stand. As I have said, I think a couple of days ago, we are also currently looking and discussing with member states and looking into possible options of updating, if necessary, the existing recommendation. But this is work in progress at this stage, and of course we always take into account the latest scientific evidence and also our discussions with member states in this context.
Thank you very much, Christian. I see no further questions on this. Are there other questions for us today? That is not the case. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend and see you Monday.